During our country's infancy, Congress ordered 2 official printings of the Declaration of Independence, one dated July 4, 1776, which resembles the written document, and another 6 months later, on January 18, 1777. This edition is outstanding as the only declaration titled unanimous, as New York had finally cast its vote to form the 13th state, and as the very first printing to publicly reveal the names of the 54 founding fathers. Also unique is the printer, a highly respected presswoman, Mary Katharine Goddard, whose fresh design and 2 columns distinguished it. Mary Goddard added her name and location at the bottom of the document, putting herself at risk for treason along with the founding fathers. Mary worked with her brother William on producing a weekly newspaper in Rhode Island, Philadelphia, and lastly, in 1773, in Baltimore. She soon ran the Baltimore Journal as sole editor, and in 1775 was appointed Postmistress of Baltimore by Benjamin Franklin. In late 2008, I began a 1-year project recreating this historic document with 2 separate printings, an historic and a contemporary rewriting, to honor our country's legacy, and in particular Mary Katharine Goddard, who was clearly a courageous daughter of liberty and proponent of the right to uncensored expression. 9 known copies of the Goddard Declaration exist today, one at the Library Company of Philadelphia and another at the Library of Congress. I traveled to the libraries, pica ruler in hand, to study the typeface and point sizes in detail and carefully measured heights and lengths of letters, words, headers, paragraphs, spacing, ornaments, and signer text. I recorded these pencil annotations on a full-scale newsprint mock-up. I ordered the font Caslon used in the colonies at that time, which was cast in metal, as over 10,000 pieces of type and spacing material arrived in my studio. I set over 8,000 characters and printed it on paper handmade to my specifications. Throughout the process of recreating the Declaration of Independence, I always felt a connection with Mary Katharine Goddard. I visualized her receiving the urgent order from Congress during such a volatile time in our country's history and welcoming the opportunity to do her duty. I pictured Mary in her print shop during the cold month of January, setting each letter of the proclamation and pulling sheets on her wooden hand press without 21st century amenities, as I composed the same letters to print on my 50-year-old electric press. As my thoughts shifted between centuries, I contemplated Mary's convictions and character as a defender of freedom of speech and the liberty of the press, knowing we often take this for granted today. In addition to the historic recreation, I then ran a second edition where I rewrote the Declaration to clarify all people are created equal and changed the word men in 2 places in the document. I printed this on a bright white sheet. I went to press on the new contemporary version of the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 2010. I was interviewed in my print shop by Dana Jacobson for CBS News Saturday, July 4, 2020. The story of Mary Katharine Goddard's role in independence was filmed during ongoing Black Lives Matter protests throughout the country, with the people calling out systemic racism and demanding equal rights.